Hey guys, T2RX6 here. I just wanted to do this before we get into the video because it addresses some things I talk about in the video. The one thing I had said, I wanted to take Soundwave apart to see how these assemblies work. They are just kind of a T swivel connection in, so the only side to side you're going to get or rotation is based on what the knee joint can do, which is like this, and in its other extreme like that. So yeah, don't be trying to twist these balls at the top here. Another thing I point out is that there is this spring gimmick thing here. I realized almost immediately after saying that exactly what it's for. So when your leg is ready to be transformed, and sorry for the poor camera work, I'm doing this by holding the camcorder, and we telescope this in. When this thing rotates up in the cassette player mode, that is what it's doing. It's giving that leg the extra room it needs to go in. So mystery solved. So no comments about that in the section when we get to that point. Finally, I do have my Soundwave mistransformed a little. The instructions point about pushing something forward and back, and I didn't realize what it was until I took this all apart. And actually, let's see if I can do this here, especially with one hand. Well, let's set the camera down here so I can show you perhaps that there is a piece here that when you push forward pops out to give it a ridge. So mine in the video never shows that. It's extremely hard to push out, and I remember the instructions telling me about it, and I could never figure out what it was talking about because nothing felt like it wanted to move. And that's what it is. It's just that this assembly actually can move forward and back a little, which does give them an overall slightly nicer look. So keep that in mind when you are watching this video, that this will be mistransformed. So alright, on to the video. Sorry about the mistakes there, guys. What's going on, guys? T2RX6 here, back for another Transformers review, and today we're going to be doing MP-13 Soundwave. I just got this guy last week, and he is awesome. Just a quick look at his box. Typical MP box. Nothing really special. Back shows kind of all the things he can do and what he comes with, etc. Inside his box here, let's talk about his accessories. You of course get a Laserbeak inside this little pink case, and I'm pretty sure the pink was a deliberate choice because without it, it sort of looks like half an Energon cube. So hopefully we get the same cases for the other cassettes that are coming, and we can make a stack of Energon cubes. That would be pretty darn cool. Let's put Laserbeak in the Soundwave here. You get this, which is a display thing that goes on his chest to show kind of like readings or sensor things. Now, I wasn't really sure where it was. Here's the instruction book. There's some pretty cool art in here on this page. I'm not sure if that has a colored photo or anything, but I really rather like that art. But anyway, on the back here, you'll see these sensor things, and that's what's supposed to go inside here. But don't cut these out. Vangelus, I'm sure you all know Vangelus. I will link to his PDF in the description below. He took the Papercraft Energon cube, which I'm not very good at Papercraft. Probably wouldn't hurt if I had thicker paper, but gets the job done for now. But he also added displays, so you don't need to cut up your instruction book. So we'll take a look at them after. You saw the Papercraft Energon cube, and that was for this Energon cube accessory. The top here pops off and essentially fits your Papercraft in there to make it look like a full Energon cube when you put the lid on. Otherwise it will peg onto Soundwave's chest to look like the scenes in G1 where he was making Energon cubes. I'll put that to the side for now, and we'll take a look at that again after too. You get, of course, the ever popular collector's cards. you get the communication sensor assembly. It's from a G1 cartoon. I don't particularly remember this, but it's been a while since I watched all of G1, so I'm sure it was there. They show a picture. You also get a Megatron gun. Now this is exactly the same one that came with the previous Masterpiece Optimus Primes. Here it is. It's exactly the same size and everything. The only difference is this one doesn't have a swivel down here. They added a swivel down here so you can bend the stock down a little and kind of move it up like that. I'm really afraid to mess with the stock just because on this one the clip piece actually broke on mine. On the original Masterpiece Megatron, or Optimus's gun I should say, the Megatron gun, you can see that there is actually a difference in the stock here. And yeah, I'm probably not going to use this too much because I really don't want it to break like the other one did. Though I suppose you could always just kind of take it out of this little assembly here. Just slides in, but yeah, I'm having trouble getting it out. But yeah, Soundwave and Prime and all of them can hold this gun. So let's actually get to Soundwave himself. And he is a beautiful rendition of his classic tape recorder mode. We can actually take this sensor assembly and just plug it in the back. Which does lead to probably the one gripe people tend to have, is that you do have this big hollow here, but it's not too terrible. Looks good. These buttons have a springiness to them. You can touch them. These two, they don't do anything. Do have a headphone jack that's appropriate size. Some switches on the side, dial on the other, and the dial kind of turns a little. Mine only goes up just a tiny little bit. That was it. You do have all these things for like micro SD cards and all that stuff, but none of them are actually real or function. Now, you might be able to see a slight difference between these two pieces. First off, these are his feet, and these are die cast. Now this is the bottom of his foot. So there's been pictures online where people have been messing with them and kind of, you know, you want to pose them so you slide them around your desk, and these can get really, really badly scuffed if you're not careful. I put a coat of Future floor polish on mine just to give it a protective layer, so hopefully that helps. From what I've seen, people have used a silver Sharpie to fix it, and it's not really that big of a problem. It blends pretty nicely. So just keep that in mind, that these are his feet. So for comparison purposes here, let's bring out our original G1 Soundwave, and we'll bring out music label Soundwave. So pretty cool. Inside his chest compartment, you can see we've already got Laserbeak here, and we can eject that out just like so. And here's Laserbeak. Now he is the same size as our Universe Ravage, and because of that, he's also the same size as our Generation 1 Laserbeak. So pretty cool that you can fit 3 cassettes in his chest. And how that works here is you got this plate inside, and it pushes back, and then there's this button that every time you click it will click it one forward. Now I know you kind of can do it properly with the chest open, and it actually does kind of launch it out. I've done it once before, but you're not really supposed to. It's not good for the mechanism. You can see the tape is basically held right in front of the door down here, perhaps. So you're really like springing it right into the door. So you really don't want to do that. I'm not even going to show it on tape because you really shouldn't do it. Also, don't hit this button on the back with one already in position. Otherwise, you'll get it stuck, and it took me a while because this one was jammed against the top and I could only open the door like this, and it took a long time to actually get it out. So yeah, one at a time. Close the door, pull the trigger. You see it moved Ravage forward, and he's ready to go. I do notice that mine tends to have a problem with the one on the door actually coming up with the door forward. You see I have to shake it a little bit, but doesn't seem like too big of an issue. One more time. Yeah, I don't know, mine doesn't sit all that well. So let's actually talk about Laserbeak here. He is, you know, like I said, he's your full-sized regular G1 cassette, which makes him all that much more interesting, because I thought he was going to be big considering all the things that he kind of does, and yeah, he really isn't all that big, so that was pretty awesome. So let's actually transform him. There's a little spot right here you can kind of push your finger into to pop his head out and then flip it around like so. Then what you're going to do, they tell you to do the blasters next. Sometimes I find it's easier to get the feet out of the way first. It's up to you. But anyway, you take these blasters. You have to kind of be a little bit careful with these just because of the swivel joint they're on. Can make it really hard to bend these all the way around like so and flip the wing up. You can see that angled connector there. So essentially it's a two-jointed swivel. So you kind of want to take it up and then kind of back it down while you rotate the top swivel, and then you can rotate it all the way around like so, and that makes his little back blaster weapons that the original had. Take his wings from the bottom and rotate them all the way up and forward like so. We'll take his feet down and just rotate them so they're straight forward, and then we'll take his wings and just kind of position them like that. So before we get on to Soundwave, let's talk Laserbeak, and we're going to go with his transformation first. What you want to do is push this little window here, the one where you would actually see how much tape is left, and that will, if you push it good enough, kind of pop up Laserbeak's head just a little from here, and that should give you enough room to grab the top of his beak and spin it on around. Now the next part, which is probably it's the trickiest part, but it's the coolest part. These are going to be the accessories that we had to peg on the original G1. So what you're going to do is kind of grab here between the front and back piece, and you can kind of swivel it around. Now you have to kind of mess with this angled hinge here because it's a two-piece hinge, and it requires you to sort of spin the bottom and push it back and spin it, and that'll actually let you line it up and sit it on his back, and then you just position his wing. So we'll do that again for the other side here, and the first time you do this it's actually a lot harder than when you do it a second or a third time, but you will struggle sometimes trying to make it sit flush on the back of Laserbeak like that in a way that kind of looks good, but not too big of a deal. Let's tilt this camera up. I don't want to do this off camera. So the next thing we're going to do is take his feet here, and we just rotate these pieces on down like so, and then just kind of flip them on forward, and we'll just kind of angle them in just so we can get these wing assemblies out of the way. And then you can kind of clean them on up. You see we made the wings, and it's just as simple as you think. Just kind of pull it back, and there you go. You've got Laserbeak. And Laserbeak looks pretty darn good for a little cassette. And I'm just so amazed that they could engineer his weapons on into his transformation. I know Frenzy and Rumble don't have that type of thing. There's actually storage on Soundwave for them. We'll get to that a little later. For kind of articulation, you really don't have too much. You can kind of bend his wings a little, kind of angle them forward or back, but pretty much he's going to sit just like that. They don't angle any further back. He does have, you know, some head and neck articulation here. And one of the coolest things here, if it'll zoom in, I'll try to do this without getting my finger on the shot the whole time, but you can actually pop up a piece of his head here for, I think if I recall correct, it was a camera in G1, but I can't quite remember. So yeah, there's Laserbeak. And let's bring in his Generation 1 counterpart here, just to kind of show the differences here. Much smaller, you know, more trim, probably closer to the show model. Obviously they rounded this so no one could poke their eyes out. Could still poke your eye out. But yeah, there's your differences. Really like this little guy. And as an advantage, because he is the same size as the regular cassettes, here is the Universe Ravage here, which stands in really nicely as a Masterpiece Ravage, at least until we get one. Just realized his tail is stuck in. There we go. Masterpiece Ravage for now. And yeah, it doesn't look too bad like that. I am excited to see what they do to the Masterpiece that's better than this, and at least we know this is a good toy, so if it turns out wrong, we already have a good Masterpiece Ravage. So let's actually get to transforming Soundwave here. And this guy is just, he's great. I love him. So what we're first going to do is just kind of unpeg his two arms back here. That's going to free up the side pieces, which do take a little bit of force. There's tabs in here, and they tab both in the side and into the arms. So once we've got that free, I skipped a step. We need to take this assembly and pull it on down like so, and then bring those to the back here, and then just fold these on up. And you might have to take this little sensor assembly on out just to kind of make them fit in there properly. And that puts the correct positioning of his crotch piece here. So we'll put this sensor assembly back on his back. So now you just kind of take this down and you rotate his leg on down. Like so. And I'll probably show the transformation back to cassette mode after, because there are some things you should be aware of. And then we'll take this and pull it straight on down. And that'll extend his leg out here. Now let's actually get to all of this stuff. Untab his foot, rotate it on down, like so. And then rotate the foot on forward. It's not normally that hard, but with the floor polish on mine, it has made that joint a little more difficult to work with. And now we have these pieces. We'll take these and rotate it on down. Rotate this all the way on down, and just kind of position that how we like it. And there you go, you got one leg. So let's do that again. We'll do this part first. It is one of the later parts you're supposed to do. So there we go. Bring it all the way around. And that does tab into the side here for a better connection. There you go. Rotate his foot. And I already extended his leg in the process of getting that. Make sure you have these little black tabs forward. That's how you'll know that you have it the right way. Now what you're going to do is come to the back here and just rotate his arms. They will clip in at the top here. And I am totally off camera for that, so let's show that one again. You're just going to take his arms like this, clip them in the top, flip these little panels down. Pretty easy there. Now my Soundwave has a tendency that he wants to fall backwards. Unfortunately the desk I'm working with has developed a slight lean backwards, so he does stand very well. Just this desk may show him wanting to tip, and you guys know why. Open these little panels, flip out his hands. Just like many masterpieces. He does have the same type of hands as Optimus Prime. They are different size, but same general type. Come around to the back. We'll take his gun off for now. And we'll open this back panel here. Just kind of flip his head around and up. Close it. And then we'll take this, flip it up, rotate it around, and there you go. You've got Masterpiece Soundwave looking pretty darn awesome, if I do say so myself. Let's take his gun here. You can extend it, and what you do is kind of get in there, and we'll see if I can. I always seem to need nails for a transformer, and I never have them. So you pull this down, and actually you'll see that in the process of pulling this assembly down, it will actually move out that chrome piece a little. It's supposed to make it easy enough to grip. You really have to kind of get in there and grab the ridge with your fingernail and pull it out. But there you go. Now you've got his gun. And like usual, you can open up his hand here, and it just kind of pegs right into the palm, not going anywhere for sure. And close it on up. And articulation on this guy, pretty good. You got the arm, so I'm sure if you really wanted to, you could make that telephone pole thing. You got an upper swivel, you got a double jointed elbow, which gives him a fantastic range of motion on his arm. I know that was a problem for some reviewers with like Optimus. He's got, it's not a ball jointed head, it's on a swivel here, but then it can rotate, so he's got a great range of motion and enough room that he can actually look down. So you can do that head down, eyes up type thing. This range of motion is so perfect because you can, and you just saw a problem, because he's got that Optimus style finger, it means that his pointer finger is very easy to pop off if you are not very careful with it, like I did. But he can push his own eject button, which is pretty great that you can have that. So, you know, you could have Laserbeak just flying out like that if you so choose. So I'm really glad they built that functionality in. Let's actually pull this Megatron here. I've never tried to put this Megatron in Soundwave's hand, so I might struggle a little. I suspect that you have to open Megatron first, and then just kind of close Soundwave's hand around it, and there goes that little finger again. Put that back on. See, I can deal with the one articulated finger, but this really does show why I'm not a huge fan of finger articulation on toys. But yeah, you can hold it pretty good. No finger on the trigger, but I don't know, maybe with some more work I could make that happen. I have seen people who have done that classic pose of Soundwave shooting Megatron, and turns out pretty good for the most part. So let's get back to his articulation. We do have a waist here that's pretty active. Just make sure it's easy to bump this sensor assembly on the back. You can take it off if you don't like it, of course, but it could catch on there if you do kind of angle it up accidentally. His legs are a little bit scary, I suppose. So he's got side to side rotation here, and then he's got no forward and back really up at the top here, even though that does swivel. What you use is this little joint here, and it's kind of sad because as far as I can see, to get his legs backwards, unless these balls rotate and mine are just really stuck, is just he gets that much backward leg movement. Now granted, you have a nice knee to kind of compensate, but you don't really get all that much back movement. You can get plenty of forward movement, but yeah, as far as I see, and I don't know, maybe I have to open mine up to just see what's going on in there. I'm afraid to move those balls at the top there just because of how it works. But he does have plenty of side to side and front leg movement out of his legs. Now, he doesn't seem like he has ankle tilt just because of how his feet fuse, but this joint system's actually really smart because you can take this out and you can, I mean, really take this out. And when you do that, you get lots of ankle movement. Now, you probably don't want it so far out, but for most normal poses, you know, you can pop them out just a little and you can get some pretty decent ankle tilting down there that looks completely natural down at his feet. So that is really good. Now he does have a few things that are odd. He's got this little button here that I have no idea what it does. It doesn't seem to do anything. There's one on the back. The one on the back is to allow you to telescope his legs in and out easier. What the one on the front does is anybody's guess at this point. I don't think anybody knows. You've also got these little doors here. We'll rotate these on out. And they just swing on open. Now what these are for is going to be a set, just one set of Frenzy or Rumble backpack blaster things can fit in there. So unfortunately he's not going to be able to store all the weapons, but at least for one of his cassette minions he can store them. Now he does have this ridging here, which is authentic to your Generation 1, and he's got this little clear assembly here. What these are actually designed for is they're sized such that Laserbeak has counter ridges down here, and what you can do is kind of peg him onto the top here, and that's a solid connection. He's not going anywhere. So yeah, you can peg him on there just so he doesn't fall off, and then same thing for down here, which does look very cool if you take Laserbeak. This is how I've had him on my shelf all week, just kind of giving orders to Laserbeak here, like so. And again, still solid, not going anywhere. So let's bring out, for some size comparisons here, we'll bring out our little Ravage here, just to kind of give him another minion. There we go. And we'll bring out our Generation 1 Soundwave and our music label Soundwave, just so you guys can get an idea of sizes there. So that is the Soundwave crew. So let's get these guys out of here. And we'll do one more size comparison. We've got our Fall of Cybertron Soundwave here, just for a size. Now, I do have more size comparisons, but they're not with Soundwave, they're with the other MPs. But I figure let's first look at these additional accessories, because I almost forgot about them. So what we're going to do is take this, we can fold his hand on in here, just like we're transforming him back, and make sure everything's all closed. And then you can actually take this little sensor assembly and just kind of plug it right in there to give him his sensor hand. Again, I personally don't remember this on G1, but I'm sure it was there. And what's interesting is when you open up these arms, there's a lot of like speaker detailing and stuff in there. It's pretty cool. Oh, I lost his little pinky finger again. Enough rambling. So you can take our Energon cube and you can just simply plug it right onto his chest there, and it gives him that kind of that look where he was making the Energon cubes in Generation 1, which he pretty much was always doing. And then once we got that, like I said, we take our Papercraft and we shove it on into this Energon cube, close it on up, and look, he's got a full Energon cube now. So we can also take these little sensor things and just kind of slide them in here, and then this also does the same exact thing where it just pegs on there. And now Soundwave is going over some data here that he's got, you know, and you do have the optional one with the Cybertronian writing. So that's pretty much it for his accessories here. So let's finish our size comparisons with the ones that are arguably most relevant. So here he is with our MP-10 Optimus Prime. You can see Optimus is a tiny bit taller than Soundwave. Not much, but that's pretty nice. One of our more recent ones, the one that preceded this, we've got Sideswipe. And since we're doing Autobots, we might as well finish it with our Masterpiece Grimlock, who is also taller than Starscream, Soundwave, but just barely taller. It's almost hard to notice this size difference here. So moving on to some evil allies for Soundwave here. I didn't pull MP-01 because I didn't feel that that was all that important, but I did pull the ever so delicate Masterpiece Megatron, and boy, we really need a new one of these guys. So there he is next to Masterpiece Megatron, pretty much the difference between Music Label and Voyager Megatron. So if you're okay with that, I suppose it works. And let's see, we've got the black version of Rodimus. There we go. Again, Rodimus is just a tiny bit taller. And a true Decepticon here. Here he is next to MP-11 Starscream. And Soundwave is a tiny bit taller than Starscream this time. So I think he does look good with this general group of people. So this is T2RX6. I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I'll see you next week. I just realized the scope of MP Megatron is taller than Soundwave. We really need a new Megatron.